Global warming is a global phenomenon, but there's many things we gardeners can do about it, and we can do these things locally. We can prevent greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide from entering the atmosphere, and we can remove it from the atmosphere. Plus, we can do all of these things from our own gardens. Using my battery-powered hedge trimmer doesn't produce greenhouse emissions because I charge it from my solar panels. And there's no fossil fuel burnt when I mow the lawn either. A push-driven mower is easier to use than you think. What's more, it starts first time, every time. And what's the most obvious way gardeners store carbon? By growing plants, of course. Plants take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turn it into plant tissue. They're so clever. Mangroves are some of the best plant communities for carbon storage. But if you don't have a handy tidal river flat in your yard, eucalypts are pretty good too. And there's plenty of smaller species that will fit in a backyard. If it shades the northern or western side of your house, you'll need less air conditioning and save on emissions that way too. Interestingly, because of its rapid growth rate and density, bamboo is a pretty good carbon sink. Besides using plants to draw carbon out of the atmosphere, you can stop it getting there in the first place by making something your plants will love. Try composting as much of your garden and kitchen waste as possible. By avoiding putting it out for council collection, you're avoiding burning the petrol to take it to the tip. And the compost you make won't just increase the biological activity, the fertility, and the water holding capacity of your soil, it'll also store carbon. The Earth can store 10 times more carbon in the soil than it can in the atmosphere. I regularly measure the amount of carbon in my own soil, and it's increasing by about 1% every year, which means I'm stopping a huge amount of greenhouse gas getting into the atmosphere just by working in homemade compost. It's a simple cycle. By keeping as much kitchen and garden waste on site as possible, I'm balancing my carbon budget. Choosing the right fertiliser is also important. I use organic fertilisers like animal manures. They have everything your plants need, even the hungriest ones like bananas. I avoid synthetic fertilisers because greenhouse gases are produced during their manufacture, and when they're in the soil, synthetic fertilisers generate one of the most potent of greenhouse gases, nitrous oxide. Now, if you don't have access to animal manures, never mind. Pelletised poultry manure is available from everywhere. It's cheap, it's a complete fertiliser, and it provides nitrogen compounds to your plants and not to the atmosphere. The distance food has to be transported to get to you is known as food miles. The greater the food miles, the greater the fossil fuel emissions resulting from the food you consume. But the food that we grow at home only has to go from the garden to the kitchen, so anything that we can grow at home helps to reduce greenhouse gases. Most of the onions eaten in Brisbane come from South Australia or Tasmania. I can't reliably grow onions here, but I can grow subtropical substitutes like spring onions and society garlic. They are just as easy and flavoursome as ordinary onions. Then there's this favourite fruit, citrus. Citrus, like this Tahitian lime, are an internationally traded commodity, notorious for their high food miles. And yet, with a little space, you can grow them at home. And they're so rewarding. If life gives you lemons, it's a good life. So don't despair about global warming. Do what we do best, garden. Get out into your patch and do something about it.